All right, good evening, folks. This is Jim Tung from Hargrave, and I hope you guys can hear me. I'm looking at, looks like 25 folks here. Just so, in case something happens to your connection, this meeting is being recorded, and after a couple of days, it will be posted on our website in an area that the parents can get access to. Right now, for those of you that are new to this process, we're essentially sending a slideshow to you. And so, you're not seeing the inside of my office or anything else like that. And similarly, I'm trying to kind of play sound engineer and video engineer. And so if you inadvertently turn on your video, I'll turn it back off so that all the parents here, even though we're one big happy family, don't all get maybe a little bit more insight into your living room than you might want us to have. Similarly, right now, you're all muted so that if your family comes on in or what have you, and they have a really quick question, it doesn't end up being broadcast to 26 families now. And so those of you that have a device that allows you to send a chat message, in Zoom here, there's a chat facility, and what I end up doing at the end of today's meeting, or towards the end of today's meeting, is I take all those chat messages and copy and paste them on the slides so that they can be seen, and then we take turns as administrators answering each of those questions. And then after that process, if there's still questions that haven't been texted in because we're not as fast with our thumbs as maybe some of our teenagers might be, we'll open it up for a kind of an open mic night. And at that point in time, basically what happens is I'm going to unmute everybody and then allow you guys to, I'll give you control of your microphones and then essentially mute everyone again. But then you'll have the ability to unmute yourself. That will be the same thing as kind of raising your hand. And I'll call on you by name. And then based on that, you'll be able to answer your question. Or, I'm sorry, ask your question and get an answer. So to help us with that, I noticed that we have, for example, two Amy's, not to call the Amy's out here. And I'm pretty sure I think I know who they are, but I'd hate to call them by the wrong name. And so, so if you just have a device, called my device, if you could figure out how to rename yourself, that would be very helpful in that last session or last section of our meeting here tonight. So I already have at least one question here on text. We're up to 29 participants. I know that our time here is valuable, and so I'm going to continue on. Keep in mind that if anything happens, this meeting is being recorded and will be posted. So again, I'm the academic dean, and glad to see you guys here. And so talking a little bit about things going on. So we started classes last Thursday, and a lot of cadets were game, and they're like, yeah, hey, I'll try this class out. And then after 2 class periods, they're not maybe so sure. And so what we want to do is have that conversation with them to make sure they're not selling themselves short. Maybe we start to have another conversation about their college and career goals, and then we'll do schedule changes. And so we're going through those changes as fast as possible. So again, it's a moment here for parents to counsel their cadets as to, some things take time. A semester of 18 weeks is a long time. 15 weeks is a long time. And so the first day of classes, you don't want to miss them if we can, but it is not terminal if we happen to miss a couple of things. In particular, all classes or all cadets were exposed to how to study this week. They were taught within the social studies and science classes. The instructors essentially took away from their history or science class for about 20 to 30 minutes and then went through our how to study program. Remember, this is just phase 1 of how to study, making sure from a sense of fairness that all cadets understand what they're supposed to do and then understand some of the tools available for them, the ones that our faculty all believe in, and are trying to reinforce. Phase two of how to study really is starting this week and going on for the rest of the semester, which is the reinforcement of those how to study lessons, as well as the place where we go back and reinforce and reteach some of those lessons if they weren't, if they didn't sink in that kind of whirlwind tour of us, or introduction to school. Just as importantly, I think throughout the summer, we've been talking about teaching the young man in front of us and understanding and being realistic about information that's normally lost during the summer, as well as information that may have been lost due to the circumstances of the spring. And so what we do as a school is we have reading and math assessments that are administered across the board in all grade levels. And basically, those occur during the English and math classes. And so we find some interesting things, where, for example, the Algebra 2 instructor found that there was a fair amount of deficiency, if you like, or weaknesses across the board in something as basic as fractions. And so he has modified some of his course objectives and pacing to allow that reinforcement of the concept of fractions and kind of basic arithmetic. And so what we know is that pays dividends in the long run as a cadet's comfort level with math literacy and these basic skills increases. He finds himself less stressed out in chemistry and physics classes. Similarly, the reading assessment gives us a mark on the wall about their grade equivalent reading level. It helps us make sure that we're placing them the right way, as well as alerts some of our staff about the need for additional supports. The first advisory meeting occurred today. Advisory groups are 3 to the largest group, I believe, is 5, but that has 2 advisors in it, just because it's a staff member plus a faculty member in that group. And our intention with advisory group is a point of contact, a sounding board for a cadet, a mentoring group, a new point of view. The advisors were chosen so that it would not necessarily, we tried to avoid where they were a teacher or not necessarily a coach. And that way, if a young man is struggling with his relationship with his faculty or his peers or a coach, that they would have a new person that they would not normally talk with to help them with that. And again, half jokingly, I tell my advisor group that what goes on in advisory stays in advisory, which is sort of true, but also it's again I do get as the academic dean, and then I pass on to the president, kind of also a pulse, a finger on the pulse of the core. So again, more points of contact for a young man, understanding that relationships can sometimes be challenging for guys, but that when we actually get that positive relationship with an adult and a cadet, it really pays dividends and helps them navigate some of the challenges that face all our teenagers here in 2020. So again, just because I know that you may be asking your cadet how things are going, and you're maybe hungry for news, and you may be getting some one syllable answers, or you're getting answers that are kind of thin on facts. So we are continuing to do our social distancing and masks in class, even though as many people may expect that's a challenge with teenagers who are kind of used to being free. And so we're certainly doing a lot of correction on that. And again, I think our guys understand it. We kind of have this message of either we can all pretend, have the scenario that there's one person on campus that does not have COVID and all the rest of us do. And it's kind of our community responsibility to keep that one person safe, kind of appeals to the heroic part of some teenagers, as well as maybe the pragmatic piece for our guys that have been on flights Of course, they grew up wearing seatbelts in the car, and so they probably never noticed that. They don't even know that for us adults, there once upon a time when you're on an aircraft, you could walk around the aircraft, didn't have to keep your seatbelt on or anything else like that. And so nowadays, commercial flyers are told that even if the flight is safe, that they're asked to keep their seatbelt on loosely. And so, so even though we're very confident about our status right now with our COVID testing results, that we want to remain vigilant, as well as exercise, a relatively simple way of mitigating risk. And so in our classrooms, we're continuing to wear masks. Again, we're continuing to work on Google Classroom, Zoom, various learning tools and habits that our cadets might have to use here at Hargrave should something change in the public health arena, but also as we're looking at preparing them for the next step in lifelong success. Really, I think we all know that colleges and in the workplace, that remote learning is a skill. There's tools that you need, and there's a mindset that's very different than just simply going to class or going to a workshop like your dad or like your boss might want you to do. And again, not to sound like I'm beating the same drum over and over again. We're spending a lot of time and energy on building relationships, and so anything you can do to help our faculty with that relationship is always welcome. But again, as we're taking taking over and control of your treasure that you've loaned to us, we're going about it in kind of these different ways. So that's my report to you as the academic dean as to what's happening in the classrooms and what our intentions are. Coach Vesci, Mr. Vesci will be on in just a little bit here, but let me jump in here to save his voice maybe. So an update on college night, military college night, and SAT testing. The college fair is now spread out over 5 weeks. We're continuing to iron out those details with those colleges, as well as making sure that as we are planning both our own independent virtual college visits as well as real college visits, that we have the details ironed out and that we're able to do this in a safe manner. So, but sooner, prior to college night, we actually have a specific military college night because we do have a fair number of our guys that have expressed some sort of interest in either a service academy, that would be the Naval Academy, Air Force Academy, West Point, which is the United States Military Academy, the Coast Guard, et cetera, as well as senior and junior military colleges and programs. So that would be everything from the Citadel, VMI, Norwich University. We have several maritime universities or colleges coming on in also, as well as ROTC programs giving presentations. The format for those 11 schools or so that are coming on in, or a dozen schools that are coming on in, it's a focus on 11th and 12th graders, plus those other younger cadets that may have expressed an interest, particularly in the service academies, since the service academies are such a competitive thing. So, and in the event that certain schools cannot attend, we actually sent out 20 invitations. We'll arrange for a separate virtual visit at a later date, as if they were a regular college. So at this time, I got a quick note here that I may have cut out a little bit. I do apologize for that, but hopefully our network traffic issues will continue to smooth themselves out here. I'm going to turn this over to, I guess let me, one more slide here. Test optional. I think Coach Vesci will expand on some news from the College Board that he received today about testing fees. But basically, we strongly encourage our guys to take the SAT, which will be offered here October 3rd at Hargrave, because essentially it's a win-win. If the young man does great on his SAT score, then he can certainly look better than anyone else that may be equivalent in kind of that competition to get admitted to college. But also, I think there was a misconception based on conversations with some parents that SAT scores are not automatically sent to colleges. And so both the test taker on test day as well as the test taker and parents afterwards can choose to opt out of the score reporting. And so essentially you can take the test and see your score first before you actually choose to send it off to a college. Again, Coach Vesci and Captain Bell are navigating that. Captain Bell is our senior seminar instructor as well as a college and career counselor here at Hargrave. So now I think I'm done, and as soon as I find Mr. Vesci's microphone button here, I'll unmute him and turn it over to him. All right, Coach, you're up.
Thanks, Dr. Tung. Good evening, everyone. Just to piggyback on what Dr. Tung said as it applies to college counseling, really excited about Military College Night. I think that the format's going to be pretty good. It's going to be as similar to years past as we can be while using a virtual format. In terms of the SAT, the news that just came out today is that the normal registration deadline for the October 3rd SAT is this Friday, September 4th. The late registration deadline runs until late September, but that normally incurred an extra fee. The College Board is waiving the late registration fee for the October 3rd test date, so don't fret if your cadet has not registered for the SAT by Friday. It is our intention to get them registered by Friday to skirt by any kind of risk with that. But rest assured that before the October 3rd SAT date, your cadet will be registered. And like Dr. Tung said, it's a win-win. You don't have to report your scores unless you want to. The College Board, it's a bit of a double-edged sword where you're allowed up to 5 score sends on test day, but those will go automatically to those schools regardless of what you got on the test. So it's more prudent to wait and send them once you know your scores. But again, we really encourage your young man to take the SAT because it can only help. And then to shift gears to athletics, fall sports began last Thursday. We're following the NFHS guidelines based on the current phase, and I've really got to tip my cap to the coaches here. They're really working hard, and they're ensuring that our protocols are met. The guys have had a safe and healthy but competitive and fun experience as well. Still continuing to monitor the viability of external scheduling. And once we have updates, like I said, I'll make sure to get those out to everybody and put them up on our athletics website. But it's been as exciting of a first week of sports as it has been in years past. So I'm definitely encouraged about what I'm seeing out there on the playing fields, and I look forward to continue to have our coaches work with these young men.
All right, thanks, Jim. If you go to the next slide, I just have a few notes. Just wanted to update on open weekends. It was a concern during matriculation, a lot of questions about how we would handle open weekends. We're looking at batch testing to mitigate risk when cadets return. Beyond batch testing, we're also looking at a rapid test. So we hope to have that in place after the first open weekend. Just to give another measure of assurance. So we are pressing forward in that regard. A big calendar change is Eye of the Tiger. After having the boys go through a full week last week between orientation and starting classes on Thursday. We realized the amount of time required to keep things clean, and just our pace slows down a little bit in terms of getting things done. We originally wanted Diet Tiger to happen in November. We don't think that the cadets will be prepared for that event by November based on our schedule and requirements. So we've moved the Eye of the Tiger to March 13th. That's a Saturday. It goes from Saturday into a Sunday morning. The calendars have been updated. You'll see a revision date on top of the calendar, and that's been published on our website. It'll go out via constant contact and email through my backpack. So just know that's the one major change to the calendar. We try to keep minimal changes to the one-page calendar, but that will be something that's pretty significant. We do have a new commandant who arrives on October 19th. We're excited about him and his family showing up. He's a Marine, recently retired, and we're excited to have him on board in October. So I think I have one other slide, Jim, and then just kind of an update on some events coming up. We talked about Military College Night, September 9th, which is next Wednesday. Founders Day celebration will be a good 2 or 3 hour event for the cadets on campus when we celebrate the founding of Hargrave. A lot of healthy competition and some fun games, and also a cookout. So it'll be a good day outside of the classroom for the cadets. And then September 11th, you can see there's interim grading period. Will be the first interim grading period that you can see kind of a gut check on where your cadet is. On the 18th, we have an open weekend. Cadets can depart at 12:30, which is right after classes in Mess 2, and then they need to be back by 5 p.m. on Sunday. And then weekend of service, just something that you're aware of on campus. It's a big community service event where we do a lot of projects on campus with cadets and faculty. Typically, we would have a lot of alumni come in for that. Alumni presence will be very minimal. Typically, it'll be some alumni that will have pieces of equipment like tree trimmers, some trucks, that kind of thing, to help us do some of these community service projects on campus. But again, that'll be it's a Saturday, full day of doing things around campus. Great time for cadets to get their hands dirty, do some cleaning around campus, and some landscaping and cleaning vehicles, and just doing some spruce up. It's actually a pretty good time. And then we have a cookout during that time as well. And then October 2nd, first marking period grades will be available. I know it seems like we just started school on Thursday, which we did, but we're 1 month away from that first marking period. So looking forward to that. Those are the significant events coming up. And that pretty much closes out. Jim, I'll let you go into the Q&A now.
All right. Thank you, sir. So I've got 2 questions currently that came in via text, and so I'm going to put those in here. So one question is, I'd love to hear more about what activities are planned for the cadets for fun and barracks life. And then I think another one, if Colonel Brown, you can prepare to answer that question. And then First Sergeant Samuels is on the line here if Colonel Brown does not want to address the Bravo Company question. So,
I'll, as you're typing them in, I'll answer those. And the first one, so activities planned for the cadets. We have about 17 activities that will go between 2 different Saturdays. We call them Clubs A and Clubs B. So there's about 8 or 9 activities on Club A weekend, and then the following weekend will be Club B. I don't have the list in front of me, but it's Scouts, it's Fellowship of Christian Athletes, it's hiking, it's paintball, it's Adventure Club, it's a drone club, it's current events club. So all the cadets have an opportunity to sign up for those various clubs. What I'll do is I'll make sure those clubs are listed in the upcoming parent newsletter, and we'll list all those clubs out. Paintball is one of the clubs, mountain biking. Again, I don't have them all memorized, but there's about 17 clubs total. So we'll get that out in the parent newsletter. Jim, if you can make a note. Back to the question, does Bravo Company have a TAC? Yes. Currently, we have 3 TACs. Captain Bennett is the Alpha TAC. Captain Ebelt is the Delta TAC. Captain Weissauer is filling in as the Bravo TAC. And we're interviewing 2 TACs this week. So we will have coverage across the companies. I'm glad whoever asked what is Eye of the Tiger, I'm glad you asked that, because in the parent newsletter, we will have an index, if you will, that highlights all of our major events and kind of gives you the 5 W's of what they are. But the Eye of the Tiger is about a 30-hour excursion starts in the wee hours of Saturday morning and goes into Sunday morning. And in between that time, the cadets are challenged physically, mentally, and spiritually as they go through a series of events from swim qualification, obstacle course run, what we call escape and evade, which is really the cadets are out on the property of Hargrave, and they're trying to not be found by the TAC who's roaming around trying to find the cadets. So it's just a series of both physically demanding but also fun events. And my experience with it is at the end of the 30 hours or so, when the cadets finish up with about a 3-mile ruck march, they're pumped up, their confidence is high. The goal is to finish, maybe not complete. There will be some events that will be difficult for cadets to complete fully, but the goal is to finish the Eye of the Tiger competition through that 30 hours. And then it culminates with a steak and eggs breakfast as the sun starts to rise. So we're excited about that. But in order to prepare for all of those events, with COVID taking a little bit more time away from us for cleaning and sanitizing, we realized pretty quickly that we may not have the time to get all of those events trained up prior to the competition. So we want to make sure all the cadets are prepared for the Eye of the Tiger to the greatest extent possible. But great question. If there are any Marines on the line that understand what the Crucible is at boot camp, it's similar to that, but not as intense. But it is a series of challenging events for the cadets.
All right. And then would you discuss Parents Weekend in October? Do you feel it will happen? Can you talk about how it works?
Yes. So Parents Weekend will occur. Parents will have the opportunity to either Zoom with faculty members for parent-teacher conferences or show up in person. Obviously, all COVID prevention protocols will be in place. We typically do some things like breakfasts and brunches. We won't have any shared meals just due to space in the mess hall. So that would be something that would change. We will still have a parade. That'll be the cadets' first opportunity to show their progress in their drill and ceremonies. It'll also be a time where we crest the new cadets, and also coincides with a marking period, so you'll be able to put academic stars on your cadet's uniform if they earn those. So we will have about 2 or 3 weeks out, we will have details of the actual weekend. But you can plan to have information about 30 days out. We typically like parents to schedule their parent-teacher conferences based on their travel plans. Some people prefer to come in on Friday. Some prefer to come in on Saturday. So we provide options on Friday and Saturday to meet with teachers. But again, about 30 days out, we'll have a lot more details for you. And again, that on the newsletter, we will have the basic 5 W's of the Parents Weekend as part of our events index.
All right. This question here might need to be followed up in person, so that's all right. But the name of company for letters S through Z, grade 12. I think that points to maybe a little bit of misunderstanding of how we assembled Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie companies or Delta companies. So, sir, do you want to address that?
Yeah, I've got that. So when you matriculated, matriculation was split up just alphabetically in order to just get people through matriculation. There's no correlation to how the companies were set up. Basically, Alpha and Bravo are 10th grade through postgraduate, and we try to split those companies up equally between returning and new. Try to have a good mix. So there's some returning cadets and new cadets in each company. It's not alphabetical per company.
All right, and so so if that person wants to text me offline, I can tell him or her the company that his or her cadet might be in.
And Dr. Tung, it would be in my backpack as well, correct?
It may not be so clear right now. So my backpack is of course the parent portal, but the information is updated kind of in real time. But I do admit that when I did my inspection of barracks on Sunday night, that I had about 75% of the guys in the correct rooms. And then there was still some flux. That may have been addressed by Ms. Loney in the last day or two. So I hate to say it's in my backpack, but it will eventually end up there. All right. So let me give Colonel Brown a quick rest here. Who do I notify if my son has to miss a school day for a pre-scheduled medical testing? So medical issues, that's really what this is. So please notify the infirmary. And what the infirmary will do is then generate a pass. They will contact the doctor's office to confirm details, make sure there's nothing that we need to provide as a boarding or day student might need. And I apologize there. Hopefully you'll not see that part. And then part of that pass will also make sure that I go back and, or the pass will require him to come see me, the academic dean, and so that I can notify the faculty that a particular cadet will be missing classes, and that cadet will usually be directed to go see his faculty, not to necessarily explain the reason for the medical tests, but to make sure that they take accountability and responsibility for their work, and so that they discuss what they might be missing in class that day. So, all right. hopefully this parent doesn't know exactly how much I like to take pictures. So I'd love to see a larger photo gallery on SmugMug. Not much I can say other than Roger. We will endeavor to get our cameras going, and both everywhere across across campus, from coaches to our communications department to faculty to administrators, certainly are aware of the need, as well as the comfort of seeing a picture or a quick video of a young man. So point taken, and we will strive to do a better job on that. Can you explain the cadet leadership structure? I understand the company concept, but inside the company, what are the leadership positions? Is there a chain of command?
In answer to that question, there is a leadership structure. So you have a company commander who is a senior, and then he has an executive officer. Then he has a couple platoon leaders, and then platoon sergeants. So it's a very much a military structure. And then each one of those have a group of cadets that they're responsible for. And that is their chain of command. And as the cadets are 1 week into the school, they are learning how to use that chain of command each and every day. It definitely is a learning process. And we levy responsibility on the company commanders, who then use their chain of command into the company. Also, there's a battalion staff, which the companies use to get some of those things done.
All right.
Sorry? No, you covered it. I saw that you typed in platoon sergeants and squad leaders.
All right. Are all COVID cases abated at this time?
The answer is yes. All cadets have tested negative. All staff and faculty have tested negative. We still have new students trickling in. We had one matriculate on Monday, whom we're waiting on his test back, and we've got 2 or 3 more that will matriculate this week. So we're obviously, some of those have their tests done before they show up. Some are getting their tests upon arrival. So very shortly, we should have everybody tested negative as matriculations dwindle.
Okay.
And I do want to emphasize that although there's always some constant correction, the cadets are doing a fantastic job of keeping their masks on, knock on wood. So proud of them for doing that. Not that there aren't times where they drop it down a little bit, but they're very quick to put it in place, and they are keeping each other accountable. So that's a good thing.
Are students registering themselves for dual enrollment, or is that detail handled by HMA staff, assuming social security numbers are on file? The HMA staff, so that would be Ms. McAllister, myself, are the dual enrollment instructors, and we are directing our cadets to through the process of dual enrollment. And so, so the answer is yes, they are registering themselves, but they're doing it with supervision and details. If it should happen that we do need additional pieces of information, such as social security numbers, we will be in contact with the parents. Good question. So. What is the mask policy on barracks?
The mask policy, the
Yeah.
mask policy on barracks is when they're outside their rooms, they're to wear their masks.
And then that follow-on question there, I think, is the really the natural follow-on.
So outside currently, if a cadet is, or a cadet, staff, or faculty, if they are walking outside and they're 6 feet away from somebody, they can have their mask lowered. Once all cadets test negative, we will assess the ability for them on barracks not to wear their masks. Once they leave their barracks, they're no longer in their cohort or their family space. So currently in any community spaces where the non-cadets would be, they're wearing their masks. Outside though, currently the standard has always been if you're outside and you're more than 6 feet from another person, you can have your mask down.
All right, and then I think I'm gonna add on to this one, even though it came from a different parent. Dining hall mask, 6 foot, I'm guessing standard protocol or social distance protocol. And so
yeah, within the dining hall, we have all the tables set up. They're 6 foot tables, and the cadets sit on either end of them. They obviously take their mask down when they're eating their meal, and then upon leaving the mess hall, they put their mask back on.
all
And
right.
the type of mask, if you're not familiar, the type of masks we have, they wrap around the head, so all they really do is drop it down to their neck and then pull it back up. It's not the around the ears mask.
All right. Okay, so I know that there are some folks that are on devices that don't have easy to utilize keyboards. And so this is the point where I get to feel like Roz from Frasier and basically come along here. I'm going to open up the mics, and then we're going to see who's got questions. So I'm going to unmute all of you guys, and then basically as you I'm going to unmute you guys, mute you again, but now you'll have actually control of your microphone. When you unmute your microphone, I will see that. If I'll call your name, when I call your name, then you can ask your question. And while I'm playing that game right now, there actually is a question that was asked that just jumped in here. Are the masks washed? And the answer to that is yes, along with normal laundry schedule. All right, so Miss Allen, I think you're up. Do you have a question?
I think you answered my question.
Okay. All right, I think that sounds good. That's like ESP power, right?
Right.
Right. So if you have another question, just unmute your mic again, and then you'll be able to ask that question.
Wonderful, thanks.
You bet. Thank you, ma'am. So again, if you were to unmute your mic, I'll call your name, and that will tell me that you have a question. I'm not sure how these radio guys do it. And you do not want me to start singing. Following on, again, actually different parent asked this question. After washing, are masks randomly I might as well combine these two. Our mask randomly redistributed, or specifically each cadet. The cadet keeps his same mask. So so basically, when a cadet turns in his laundry, it's put into a laundry bag. It goes to our laundry facility or contractor. Every cadet's laundry is then washed separately. It's taken out of the machine and then folded, placed back in the bag, and then returned to him, folded and inventoried intact like that. So, so in that sense, the masks don't go into a group mask bag, which suddenly reminds me of bad high school locker room days, and redistributed. There, so Cadet Tung's mask goes with Cadet Tung's laundry, and 2 days later, Cadet Tung's mask and his laundry come on back, and I'm good to go. So good question. Mr. Zink.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. How are things in your neck of the woods?
Things are good. I'm in my car, so I don't have a COVID mask on, but I do when I'm out. I missed the first part of the call, so if I'm repeating things, I'll take offline, but it's a bit tension right now, I think, is to have Parents Week, parents welcome. What would change that, if anything? And is the intention still to do that?
You broke up a little bit there. Was the question about Parents Weekend, and do we intend to have Parents Weekend?
Jim, I couldn't hear the question. It was a little garbled.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
We can. You're still
Okay.
You were a little garbled.
Okay, I'll try it again. My question is just, is the intention to allow parents to come on campus and have Parents Weekend all in person, or is that still the plan?
Yes, Parents Weekend will go as normally scheduled. If a parent wants to come and then after the parade check their cadet out, they have the ability to do so. We'll have those details out about 30 days prior to the actual weekend.
Okay, I realize it's out in the future. I just wanted to check.
Great question. All right. Mr. Zink, do you have another question? Nope, looks like you're off. So any other questions? All right. Here, I've got a question that just came on in. Are cadets permitted personal items of decor, inspirational posters, etc.? I don't know if First Sergeant Samuel.
I was muted. Sorry.
That's all right.
No, there's no personal items of decoration hung up on the walls.
But smaller items, frame photographs, things that fit on the small shelf above their desks certainly are. And with our generation, there's a fair number of things that end up as wallpapers on our computers. And the wall hanging issue is also usually it's a fire hazard, if I'm correct. Well, I know that your time is valuable. Before I turn it over for Colonel Brown for any final remarks, keep in mind that our tradition here at Hargrave is that we will remain online as long as necessary to answer any questions. So if as you've been listening and thinking and ruminating, something occurs to you, please don't just leave because everyone else is signing off. And also, so we'll answer the questions at the very end as the crowd starts to thin. And then obviously, if you've got other questions, you can reach out by email or phone call if they occur to you after this meeting is over. So I know your time is valuable, and so I do really appreciate your spending some of it with us and helping us help your cadet. Colonel Brown, your final word, sir?
No, I'll just tell you the last question rings true to me because I want the barracks to be a place where the cadets, when they get into the room, although we definitely want it neat and tidy and organized and clutter-free, we do typically throughout the school year offer the ability for cadets to earn the privilege of putting things up that are a little more personal. So currently we hold true to what our cadet planner standard is, and then we get all the kids into their battle rhythm of cleaning their rooms, keeping it neat and tidy, and then they earn the privilege of potentially being a little bit outside of that, so their rooms can be a little more personable.
All right. And I did have one more text question here. What is the typical time of expectancy to receive informal feedback from instructors, advisors, techs, etc.? So we usually operate in about a 2 to 3 week feedback loop, in the sense that if it's something major, it takes about that time to make sure that what we're seeing isn't just a hiccup, either positive or negative. And then making sure that so that's kind of about 2 weeks or so. We really do want a solid baseline, but certainly we're trying to respond to emails and phone calls within 24 hours. But a lot of times, depending on the depth of the question, that does take a little bit longer than just simply 24 hours. But after 24 hours, you should get at least an email that says, I received your email. I'm working the problem, working the solution. And I know that some people, they really do. We're all in the same boat about being very concerned about each cadet. All right. And then just so you know, after that first advisor meeting, our advisors are going to be reaching out. Right or wrong, when I examined my backpack template right now that we're using, there isn't actually a clean spot where it says your cadet's advisor is blank. And so it may not be very obvious who your advisor is. So I'll certainly reiterate to our faculty and staff that are acting as advisors, that's 32 of us here on campus, the importance of reaching out to you guys so you actually have another face, or at least a name to understand who may be also working with your cadet. So okay. So one more question. And honest and true, I'll let you guys go. Do cadets have a daily time for athletics? And what are their options, weight room, etc.? And I'm not sure if Coach Vesci is on top of that right now. Try not to surprise him with a question there.
Dr. Tung, it's not a surprise at all.
Great.
So they do have daily athletic time. It is from 3:30 to 5:30 every day, and starting on the weekends. Sorry, I won't get ahead of myself. Their options right now in the fall are football, soccer, and cross country in terms of competitive sports that are currently in season. And then there's also a non-competitive swimming option, which is more training based. And then they have the opportunity to do general fitness, which incorporates weightlifting, conditioning, and then some group-based activities, whether it's ultimate frisbee or flag football or some other kind of competition where they might learn a different sport. Starting this weekend, we're going to have our clubs rolled out. Our A-week clubs will be rolled out through student activities on Saturday. And then on Sundays, we will be opening the Grant Gymnasium, which is the rubber floor gym, as well as the weight room Sunday afternoons, since they have a gap in their schedule. So they'll be able to get a workout in on the weekends as well.
Okay. I think that sounds good. Mr. Zink, I see your mic just went live. Did you have a question?
I don't want to hold anybody up. I just want to say, Coach Vesci, thank you. That's great. That's great news about the weekend. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right. Welcome. And that that was not Mr. Zink that asked that question the first time. So again, one of the key things here is that parents, we're all kind of on the same page. And as they say, the only bad question is a question that wasn't asked. So again, I know your time is valuable, but in essentially, I'm going to say you have social permission to take off, but I'll turn off the lights. I'll be the last person out. So again, thank you very much for your time, and feel free to escape the Zoom meeting. So.